Hello guys, hello everyone, welcome. So we are going to start with installing Flutter and doing all the installation and configuration that we need to start developing Flutter applications. Okay, so obviously we're going to go to our flutter.io, this website here. Just go on Google and then you will see all of this goodness here. As you can see here, we have this latest release, Flutter release preview 1, which is the latest one. And obviously, depending on when you're watching this may change. Okay, so this is the website you should come to in order to for us to get Flutter. And there's a lot of things that you can go ahead and read and look around as you wish. There's documentation. There's all sort of things. So this is the website that you need to come anytime you want to learn more about Flutter, obviously. Okay, very nice. So we're interested in what? Get started. So let's go ahead and click on Get Started. And here we have Get Started, where we can install on Windows, which is where we are. Mac, install on Linux as well. So we are interested, obviously, on install on Windows. If you are on Mac, of course, do Mac. So here we go. We are on this page here where there's a lot of information that takes us through. Okay. We have system requirements. It says it has to be at least Windows 7 SPI or 1 or later. 64-bit, it's required. Disk space about 400 megabytes and so forth. So now for that, we have to install a few other tools before we begin everything, right? So if you don't have these tools, we should get them. Let's go ahead and get the Git for Windows. I'm going to click that. And this will help us having PowerShells and all those other tools that we would need to run properly. Okay, just click to open that and start the installation. If you already have this and you know for sure, then you don't have to do this. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue here. You can read everything. We'll say next. And of course, we'll find a place on your machine where to install. You can browse and find another place if you wish to do so, but I'll just leave it as it is. Go next. Everything here looks good. Well, go next again. Use Git from the window command prompt. That is the default that it's there. We need that. Next. In this case here, we're just going to go ahead and say next. Keep saying next. Everything is good and we are going to install. We'll take a few seconds, a few minutes, and it should all be here. All right, there it is. Hit finish. We can also, if we want to have the launch thing there, but we don't need that. Of course, it gives us all the information, introduction for Git on Windows, and we don't need that. So just get out of here. If you need to, you can go and read all of that. But it's all good. Let's go back to our Get Started Here page. So we have that installed, our Git for Windows. And here it says Get the Flutter SDK. So what we need to do is to download our Flutter Windows beta zip folder or file. So once to download that, we have to extract all of the contents in our computer. Let's go ahead and click on our beta zip file here, Flutter. We'll take a little bit. And now we're going to go ahead and let it go until it's installed. Okay, there we go. We're going to go ahead and unzip it. And we want to unzip, extract it all into a folder in our computer. So I created one under Windows. I called it Flutter Dev. You can create any other name, but I like to organize things and click that. So it will extract all of the dependencies, all of the libraries into our Flutter Dev folder, which we'll need later to connect and configure. Let's see. There's a Flutter Dev, and as you see, we have our Flutter folder inside there. We have bin, dev, examples, and so many things. This is wonderful. So the bin folder is where everything is, and we need to have this location so that we can actually add it in our environment. So I'm going to copy that location, that path, which we're going to be using to add to our environment. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go and find our system and go to our environment. And I do apologize, it's all in Portuguese, but you should be able to go, but it's easy. You just go and find where you can find our environment variables, okay? In English, it's environment variables. And then once you get there, you look, we have our path, click edit, okay? And what we need to do here is actually add a new one. So click add new. So we're gonna paste it in the Flutter bin path. That's very important. It has to be bin, okay? That we just copied. Crucial step, I'm gonna say okay. And I'm gonna say okay. And get rid of this, and we're back. Okay, very good. So we're just following exactly what it says here, right? We went user accounts, change environment variables. Under variables, it tells us exactly how to do it here. So in case of you get lost, you can always read these instructions here. Okay, very good. In this case, it says reboot Windows to fully apply these changes. So you can do so. I'll go ahead and do it and come back to this. And next thing, I'm going to open the command prompt, right? And to check if things have been installed correctly. Okay, I'm going to type in Flutter, hit enter. If all goes well, we should see a bunch of things showing up. Oh, look at that. It does work indeed, right? So that means Flutter environment, Flutter path has been created and added correctly. This is good. Now you may get this warning here that says your installations of Flutter is old, 73 days older or so forth. That's fine. No worries. We're going to update all of that at some point. Not a problem. In fact, we can actually probably do now. Okay, so I'm going to type in Flutter upgrade. It should be Flutter upgrade, not update. All right, hit enter, and it should go to the servers and pull all of the information that it needs. So it's upgrading, and look at that. It's doing all of that. Very good. Very good. So things are really nice here, doing well, because we have the framework, the engine, tools, and also we have the Flutter doctor.ren, which tells us things that haven't been installed. So we have Flutter channel that was installed. As you can see there, version 0.51151. And then we don't have Android toolchain. We don't have the SDK installed. We don't have the Android Studio and other things. So this is totally fine because that's what we're going to be doing next here. But at least we know step one is done. Flutter is set in our environment. Everything is good. That's really, really, really good. Now, the reason why we need Android Studio is because Android Studio has all the tools that we need to start creating applications, Android applications, right? So Android Studio is needed for that reason. And we can also create emulators and all other dependencies that we need. That's why Android Studio is needed. And we will do that soon. Perfect. So we're gonna get out of this because now that we have everything set up, at least the Flutter set up, get out of this. And what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go and find Android Studio. So we're gonna go ahead and type in here Android Studio like that. And we should get the first one that says install Android Studio. That's the one we're gonna go ahead and click. And there we go. We are in this page here, and there's a lot of information, but what really matters is that we can download the latest version of Android Studio. So that's what we want. Go ahead and click on that. And there we go. Brings us to this page here with a lot of information about Android Studio, which you can look at and read. Gives us the version and the button here where we can click and download Android Studio below here and read more about this amazing IDE that is Android Studio. I love it. It's really great. Okay, back to business here. We're gonna go up here and download Android Studio. Of course, we have to accept and say that we've read certain conditions, terms and conditions that we need to download Android Studio. And once you do that, you're gonna be able to then click download Android Studio. There we go. It's over 700 megabytes, so it might take a few minutes depending on your internet connection. And there we go. It's installed. Actually, it's downloaded. Now we can double click on this and start the installation. All right, so there we go. The wizard will help us keep Next. This is all good. Those are the components we want installed. Make sure we have the Android virtual device checked there. I'm going to say next. Choose a place where you want it to be. I just like to leave it as it is. Next. Everything seems to be good. And I'll just say install. All right, there we go. It will extract all of the jar files, everything that we need to have Android Studio working. Okay, say next, and we can go ahead and start our Android Studio when we click finish. There we go. We'll take a few seconds. Now it will ask us to import Studio settings. In this case, because this is all new to us, we don't have to import anything. So I'm just going to keep it at do not import settings. So if you already have Android Studio previous installation, you can click on custom location. So I'll just keep like that. Say OK. And it will start Android Studio for the very first time. There we go. Now it prompts us to actually create our first project. So I'm going to go ahead and say next. Choose setup you want to Android Studio to do. I'm going to use the dark color because it's dark and they say it's better for your eyes. But if you wish to have just the IntelliJ white, go ahead and do that. I like the dark color. It's better. Okay, check that, and I'm going to say next. And there we go. Little things that are going to be installed. Little review sheet, if you will. So we've got everything looking good there. Okay, take a while if you have a small computer. I'm going to say finish. And now it's downloading all the Android repository things that we need to and now it's downloading all of the Android components that we need. Again, it will take a little while depending on your connection. Magic of editing. There we go. Once you've gone through the whole process, which can take a little while, okay, you should see this. Okay, this means that everything was installed and updated and everything is good. All right, so this Hagsum installer is very important, but that's what allows us to run virtual devices, which we'll see in a little bit here, which are the emulators and everything. Okay, very good. So we have that installed successfully. Everything is good. Life is great. And let's just go ahead and say finish. There we go. And we have our Android Studio first screen here where we can start creating our Android Studio project. Very good. So what we need to do actually is go to configure down here and go to plugins, because we are going to install Flutter and Dart plugins, which are the plugins needed obviously to create Android Studio. I'm sorry, to create Flutter applications. So in this case here, what we're going to do is we need to go to browse repositories, and then here we're going to go ahead and search for Flutter at the top. And you see we have there Flutter. We're going to go ahead and click install. A lot of downloads indeed. So a lot of people are using Flutter, which is wonderful. Click install, and it says here we need a dependency plugin, which is the Dart. This makes sense because in order to use Flutter, we need Dart, which is the language. So we have to install Dart as well. So I'm going to say yes. And then we'll install Dart, and we have to restart Android Studio for this to work. I'm going to go ahead and say restart. And there we go. It restarted, and we have our Android Studio brand new. But notice now we have this start a new Flutter project, which wasn't here before, which is good because that means everything now is set up. Very good. Very, very good indeed. All right, so what we're going to do, we're just going to go ahead and click the Start New Flutter Project here. And then we are going to pick, there's three options. We're going to pick the Flutter application because that's what we are interested in. Say next. I'm going to give it a name. It doesn't matter at this point, just leave as it is if you wish to do so. And of course, there's the Flutter SDK path, which should point to the path where we put our Flutter. Okay, there it is. So nothing to do, and everything else should be okay. We can put description if you wish to do so, but that's totally fine. We're just trying to get this to work. And then we're going to say next. I'm just going to go and leave as it is. Everything is fine. I'm going to say finish. All right, so we are now officially have created our first Flutter project. Very good. So what I'm going to do here is there is always this tip of the day little window. You can allow it to show those tips on startup, but I usually just take that off or uncheck it so that I don't have that problem. Okay, if you wish to receive those every time you start your IDE, then you're more than welcome to have that selected there, but I won't have it. So I'm going to close it. Okay, very cool. So now we have our Android Studio running Flutter application. Okay, not running, but in this case, at least we have the project. This is really good. Notice now the problem here is that we don't have any devices here, right? We don't have any Android devices that will allow us to emulate or test our applications. So that is what we need to do right now. So I'm going to go to AVD Manager here, as you see at the top. I'm going to click on that. And we have here an empty, so that means we have to create a virtual device. If you already have Android Studio, you should probably have a few, at which point you are all set to go. All right, so there we go. We have 4 categories here: TV, phone, Wear, and tablet. And we are interested in phone, of course. So we're gonna go and pick one here. Could be Nexus 5X or something else. Doesn't matter really. We just want to make sure we create one. So pick one. And in this case here, we have to have some sort of the API target. Okay. So we need to pass in either Oreo. I'm just gonna click on Oreo, but for that you have to download it. So I'm gonna just click on download, accept. Okay, because we need to install it in our machine. That way we have an image that can be used for our emulator. Accept, say next, and we'll go ahead and start installing all the things that we want. It'll take a little bit. And there we go. Everything is installed. We're going to go ahead and say next. And you notice that now we have it installed. I'm going to say next at this point. And here we can obviously give it a name as we wish to do so. I'm just going to leave it as it is and just go next. And voila. Now we have our Nexus 5X API 27. Very good. So let's go ahead and give it a run, because that is how we do it there. Launch our AVD in the emulator. So we can click on that. It says at the bottom, starting AVD, Android Virtual Device. And then we have this massive problem. This is a big problem which we'll need to fix it. The problem with that is that it's because, as it says process finish exit with code 1, is because we have some issues with our hardware acceleration. So this has to do with our internal in the BIO issues, right? In the BIO of our computer, virtual machine accelerator that is not compatible, something that we have to do to make it work. And they have that explanation on why that is happening and so forth if we go back to setup in Windows. Unfortunately, if you run on Windows, you're going to have these issues most likely. So we can find ways to configure and help ourselves to make this work. Okay, it's a little bit elaborate, but not that bad. So in this case, what we're gonna do, but before that, I need to go back here and see if I can go to SDK Manager and make sure that we have installed all the tools that we need. The Intel X6 emulator was installed successfully, but yet we still have those problems. So if you have this problem that I showed earlier, and you need to come here and check to make sure that the Intel X6 is installed, okay? And if you try to run again, you notice it will tell you exactly what's going on. It says an error that with the Windows Hypervisor platform is properly installed and usable. CPU acceleration status VT feature disabled in BIOS. just like what I was saying, we have to go into our Windows BIOS. Now, the thing about this is that, you know, if you don't know what you're doing, you can mess up your entire computer. So I don't want to be liable with that, okay? So follow exactly as I do, as I show here, so you don't run into issue. Now, this is an optional phase. This is optional, okay? So if this works for you, you don't have to do this. Now, if you run into these issues, you'll have to do this. Okay, what are we gonna do in a little bit? So back here, I just want to make sure that everything is correct. So if this is installed correctly, right? It is indeed installed correctly. We check that. So we're still having those issues. That just means we really have to do what it's suggested us to do, which is to go into our BIOS and enable our virtualization. Okay, so let's do this. We're gonna go open put MS Info 32 to open up our system information for our system, right? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to the bottom here where it says, let's see, it's all in Portuguese, I apologize, but it's the same thing. Hyper-V virtualization enable firmware. It says no. This means it has to change to yes. In order to change that to yes, we need to go to our BIOS and get that done. Again, this is optional. Only do this if it's necessary. Okay, so I open my computer here. This is my computer. What you need to do is hit Shift and keep holding Shift and restart your computer. Okay? And then you're gonna have this here. What do you need to go? You need to go to the solutions. I know it's in Portuguese here, but it should be some solution to the problems. And this happens, and you want to go to advanced options. Click on advanced options, then you go to the configurations firmware UEFI. Okay? It's gonna be in English, then we need to restart. There we go. That happens. Okay? And then you're going to see this. So what we need to go into is there's options here. There's system information, there are BIOS, or we need the F10 BIOS setup. So go to F10, meaning click on your keyboard the F10 key. There we go. Once you do that, there's a lot of things going on. What do we need to do? We need to use our arrow key to go to different tab. We want to go to the system configuration tab. Once you're here, this is all using arrow, we need to go to virtualization technology. Okay, so I'm going to show you the arrow that you're just using. So it's going to be right arrow or down. So those are the arrows that we need to use, okay? Key arrows. And so we go to virtualization technology. Make sure you go to that. You can click, oh, I got the wrong one. It has to be the top one. Make sure, okay? Virtualization technology, and then hit enter. Once you hit enter, you will see this option to disable it or enable it. We want to enable it. So use your arrow key again down to select the enabled. There we go, and hit enter once it's selected. There we go. Now you see it says virtualization technology enabled. That's very good. Once you have done that, we need to save these changes. Now, you can just do command save or option save or whatever. You have to go F10 because that's what it says at the bottom. Save and exit F10. So press your keyboard the F10 key. It says exit saving. Say yes, just hit enter because yes is selected. Okay, enter like that. And you should restart your computer again. So take a second here or a minute or so. We should see it. There we go. It's rebooting again. And as soon as it's up, we will change our view back to our computer here. So we have it all set up. Okay, let's go back. Actually, before, let's go back to where we are. Now you notice our Hyper-V extension used to say no. Right, the virtualization firmware enabled now says yes. So that's what you need, okay?